Alrighty, and here's the video review for the ToyWorld TW-T01 grind rod. This is an homage to Rollbar, one of the throttlebots. They're doing what appears to be all 6 of the throttlebots. It's one I'd had my eye on for a while, and but it hadn't pulled the trigger, and then TFsource announced that they just got word that the 6th and final throttlebot will come with the parts to make them combine. And that was kind of what pushed me over the edge, because when I think about this guy and wide load and his orange, and Aurora who's white, and then there's a red one and a blue one, I think, and the blue one, and then Goldbug, and I'm like, that's going to look, regardless of how it ends up looking, it's going to have a vaguely puzzler-esque feel to it. And that was enough to kind of push me over the edge. And like I said, it was something I'd been planning on purchasing for a while. I just never got around to buying it. And that finally kind of said, why don't you go ahead and get this? And I'm glad I did. So it comes in a package in a box. And the box is, it's not quite alternator-ish sized, but it's bigger than the figure itself. And again, if you assume that this is going to be the standard box size, maybe that gives some space for the extra combination parts to go with the 6th one. But it just kind of shows off the figure. It's very basic. There's a picture of Aurora, the TW-02 there. Don't feed square blocks to Pac-Man. Don't put pumpkins near the number 15. I don't know what that means. But yeah, it's a fairly basic box, just showing off the figure on the sides. So you open it up, and inside is, come on out. Like I said, a bunch of empty space there, which again could hold plenty of combination parts. It's very deep, as you can see. We just twist tied in. I've already untwist tied them out, obviously. And then you get the instruction sheet and a little bio card, which is plastic. It's nice, like credit card thickness type plastic with this guy, and that's really nice. But just a little bio card for grind rod. We'll go ahead and stick those back in the box here, and we'll get to the toy itself. Now the toy, as you can see, it's the original prototype pictures had it match the original toy a little closer. It was more of kind of a brownish olive green than the green that. And then we saw final pictures, and it was a really deep green. The final product is actually somewhere in between that, and that it is much greener than the original pictures we saw, prototype pics. But as you can see, it's much lighter. It's not, other pictures made it look like almost as deep green as this lower corner of the box, and it's not the case. It is a brighter green. It's closer to that olive green, but it's a lot less brown. Like I said, it's kind of, in hand, it's more of a happy medium between the early prototype pictures and the final prototype pictures that we've seen online. But he's a little Jeep, rolls quite well, very well designed. You can see there's not you can see the robot parts if you look, but there's not a whole lot of, it doesn't look like a robot folded up necessarily underneath or on the bottom, which is nice. It does have the wheel here that pops off, and again, you can just flip these open. That will become the weapon for later on. We'll go ahead and set that off to the side. Now, the pictures we have seen a picture of this with these flipped up, standing like that. Is this a foot mode? I don't know. It'll be a stumpy foot if it's a foot. However, there's a couple different options here. There's slots back here. You can see that a little wider here on the feet. That I could see if they wanted to have a fist here. You could have a couple pieces that would slide in there and lock the fist into place under here, and a way to connect it up here. It could end up being an arm. We don't know. I could also see a bigger foot piece. You could put it on and slide it forward, locking it into place, and there could be a bigger foot panel that goes underneath here to make it not quite as stumpy. Until we get all that information, we won't know. But there are more possibilities to make it into a more solid foot than just this. We'll see how it goes. But that is, you can start off the transformation by doing that. Just flip the, just lift this up, pull it up, and peg it right in there to the top of the hood there. And go ahead and split these. And you want to kind of come out here, undo it, unhook it from right here. There's some tabs here, and then you can see how it slides up like that, just like that right there. And same over here. You want to unpeg it, unpeg the top window here from the top, and just kind of wiggle it until it comes loose. Get it all unpegged, bring it around like that, and then again just extend that lighter gray piece to bring that up. And then once you got these up, flip the windows in like that to cover the front of the foot, and that's pretty much the foot transformation right there. We're done with the legs. I'll come back here. You kind of want to pop these loose just a little bit. You don't want to get them all the way down because you want to unhook this whole top middle assembly here. Get it to, you really want to pull it out from the bottom here, get it to hinge right here, because this whole thing is going to hinge around, rotate down like this, fold this piece like that, and you want this whole thing to kind of come sit down and rest right here, and then these pieces, and lift it up a little bit, you got to rotate these around. Yeah, that is designed to pop off. It just snaps right in there. I do wish it sat in there a little tighter so you didn't have to worry about that, but it is designed to slide out like that. But rotate these pieces around, get this down. Come on now. Yeah, and then these should rotate. Oh, it should sit in there. Come on now. There we go. And rotate these around. You can see that they even have a little gap here to close around where that wheel was plugged in. And then these snap together on the back, just like that. Just like that. You lift the head up right here. And then the arms, I'm going to lift this piece up. It gets a little finicky because the hands are underneath that. And you can bring the arms up and around like this. Shoulders up. Rotate the elbow around and then bring it forward like that. And then this piece right here just lifts up. You can see there's a little tab here that's going to tab right into place here. Locks that whole piece into place. Bring the shoulders up. Now these panels right here actually don't sit right here. You can actually pull them up and forward. It's hard to see that they're so tight in there, but you can kind of see here. They actually are on a piece that lifts up. There's just a hinge in there that lifts up and then plugs right back in there like that. So you bring those down a little bit. And it gives the elbow a little bit more clearance to move here. And again, just lift it up, slide it forward, and push it back in. He's got one closed fist, one open fist. Here he is in robot mode. And he's delightfully awesome, if I may say so myself. This back panel unfortunately blocks a lot of the light piping, but he's got some. Yeah, you can see like there's his face with the light blocked. There's his face with the light unblocked. Just some really, really beautiful light piping there in the head. A really nice blue eyes. So there's that. And again, as you can see, this blocks it a little bit. You don't. It's not picking it up. It is getting some light in there, but you can tell it's not getting the light like that, which is a shame that this blocks it, because some really, really well done light piping on this guy. But yeah, he's nice and sturdy. Some people mentioned like there's a hole here under the arms, and you can see it's not very deep. It does actually it's not a hole all the way through, and it doesn't look nearly as bad. If you cut it at just the right angle, just before you start to see the inner bit, it looks like it could be this giant hole that goes all the way through, and it's not. It's far less jarring when you see it in hand, and you can see actually where his torso goes in versus some of the early pictures that made it look like he had this gaping hole through his midsection. But yeah, really nice, really sturdy, a lot of posability. You got ball jointed hips here. Actually, no, it's just a double hinge hip. Interesting. It feels like a ball joint. Swivels here at the thigh. You got double jointed knees. No posability in the feet, unfortunately. And it almost feels like there should be a heel that flips out. There's some neat hydraulic detail back here, but it's all one solid piece. It looks like this should flip out in some way. It doesn't, but it's okay because it's still very sturdy. The back piece is there. But you do have ball jointed shoulders, swivels at the bicep and hinge elbows. The wrists do rotate, which is nice. There as well. And the head, again, has a swivel on it right there. So you got a really nice, decent amount of posability in this guy. I'll just show him off a little bit. One of the things I like, he's got these big chunky feet, like the old throttlebots did, with the wheel at the back. I think that's just a neat little homage. It does make him very sturdy standing up on these feet, but I just like the aesthetic look of it. I think it evokes the old throttlebots pullback feature and the way they transformed without limiting his articulation the way that the old ones did. It's really, really a neat little homage there, and didn't have to be done. But I love the design. He's got a nice chunky, he's nice and solid, very posable, really neat designs. I'm looking forward to the rest of these things. I'm really, really impressed with this guy. We just have a waist swivel as well. I forgot to show that off. And if they can, like I said, these guys are worth it individually. If they're all in the same par as this guy, really worth it individually on their own. If they combine, that's just gravy. So yeah, highly recommend this guy. Now, one of the things I did do on the tire here is I shaved, you can kind of see how this one comes straight down. I shaved just a tiny, tiny bit of an angle on this because there is a gap here. It does account for this piece. When you plug this in, it fits over it. But the way it was originally when it was straight, it would cause the gun to tilt just ever so slightly in. Like he wouldn't hold it quite straight with his arm. It would tilt in just a little bit. It was very minor. You probably won't even notice it. I mean, you probably will not. I pointed it out, but it's easily live withable. I just shaved that extra tiny little bit of plastic off so I could have it sit straight when he's holding it in his hand. Again, minor issue, just for the sake of caveat. There it is. I did do that. And again, it doesn't affect anything. You can see it doesn't. You can kind of tell just how little I shaved by looking at it in tire mode there. Just a teeny tiny little bit, but it doesn't affect the aesthetic of the toy or anything. Just something I did as a personal preference. But yeah, pleasantly surprised. Really glad I went ahead and got this guy. Looking forward to the rest now. He's very well done. Really, really neat. A very nice homage to the original grind rod. And just all in all, pretty cool. Here he is with Prime Rumble. So a little bit, I mean, he's kind of short for a deluxe. So he's roughly deluxe sized overall. But a really nice figure. I mean, like, it's just really well done. I really, really am happy with it. I'm quite impressed. So there it is, the ToyWorld T01 grind rod.